anybody care? This planet's empty, I see no signs of life. Please don't tell me that the human race did not survive. There are no people in the future. There are no people. There are no people in the future. No people at all. There are no people in the future. Where did all my people go? There are no people in the future. Let me try my people call. Where are all my people? Where are all my people? I guess I'll fly away.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Yes, it is another rainy Friday here. It is Friday, September 29th, 2023. Welcome to Raging Chicken's Friday Politics Roundup. This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken. Each week we break down the good, the bad, and the ugly in state and national politics. You can help support this show for as little as $5 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/RC Press. Good morning, Emily. You can help this. That's where my whole brain is like that today. You can help out the show by heading over to our YouTube channel if you're not there already. Smash that subscribe button, like the stream for this show, and hit that notification bell so you know every time that we go live. And if you're one of our awesome podcast listeners, make sure to leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen on. And leave a comment to let other folks know why you like the show. Little things like that help other people find the show. Well, on today's news, breaking news, Senator Dianne Feinstein has died at the age of 90. She apparently died overnight after ongoing health issues, which will leave an open Senate seat there, and no doubt endless hours of discussion about her legacy on cable news. You have it. Not belittling that, just saying that's what's going to happen. Republicans seem hell-bent on shutting down the government as a deal to fund the government by September 30th. Deadline is, well, nowhere in sight. Yesterday, the government started notifying federal employees that a shutdown is imminent and we'll start seeing government layoffs. Military personnel will stop receiving their paychecks. WIC payments, right? WIC payments for kids. Maybe got a couple days, right, of reserve funds, right? So those will stop, leaving more kids in hunger. Many national parks will shut down. SNAP benefits may have to dip in emergency funds, but they'll be able to keep going for, maybe a week or two. And then those will get pulled. And lots of other disruptions in our life. For no good reason, other than the extremists control the Republican Party. But hey, no worries. When it comes to student loan repayments, they will resume as scheduled on Sunday, October 1st. That's right. Government shutdown will not affect the repayment of student loans. How about that? More proof that we can't do good things. Governor Shapiro announced this week that automatic voter registration will be the norm for the Commonwealth now. Anytime that kind of folks, apply for, a permit, get their driver's license, they'll automatically be registered to vote. Now, if they don't want to be registered, they can opt out. If they say, no, I don't want to take part in democracy, they can opt out. It doesn't automatically put them in a political party. It just says you have the right to vote now. Pretty cool. And more Penridge School Board chaos as the board passes anti-trans policy regarding sports and biological sex. Saw that coming. And the lawsuit against Penridge School Board's shadow book banning practices went to court on Tuesday. Yep, way to go, Darren Lawson. And the mounting legal fees in the district have caused more strife among board members. Board members suggested that it's close, almost $600,000 in legal fees have been paid this year. That's like almost triple, I think, from what they normally pay. Right? But at least one board member seemed to suggest that actually the actual fees are closer to $1 million. Nobody knows for sure, though, because the people who have control of the board, the Moms for Liberty crew, people who control the board are not sharing information with the rest of the board members, nor to the public, nor to the folks who are actually paying those bills, right? They're carrying out their ideological agenda on our backs. How about that? Well, they did talk about Jordan Adams' new report. Yes, he's getting his hundreds of thousands of dollars. He gave a new report, which was contained in an email, apparently, and not widely circulated. But most of his report was actually him defending himself against critiques of what he's doing for the district. So let's just get this straight. Taxpayers in the Penridge School District are unwillingly paying Jordan Adams as a consultant and paying for him and the time it takes him to write personal defenses of his politicized agenda. Right? So not only is Jordan Adams rewriting the curriculum in the Penridge School District for social studies and English for now, but he's also taking taxpayer money from the district, right, so that he can sit down and respond to his critics. Didn't see that in the contract. Nope. And again, got to hand it to Joan Cullen for this at least. She's basically came out and said at the board meeting, look, we've asked him to come here. We figured if we're paying him, he should at least be here to present the reports, whether it's on Zoom or in person. Granted, he's in Michigan, but he doesn't come to the board. He just sends emails to select members of the board. Jordan Adams. Gotta love them. Gotta love them. Jordan Adams, Jordan Blomgren. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I'm sure Megan knows too, Ross. Good morning. Lots going on there. And the PA Climate Convergence begins this Sunday. That'll be out in Harrisburg. I'll have all the details. I'll be out there for the day, interviewing people, talking to people. And we're doing a little interviewing. I'm kind of pretty excited about it. It is, we've had Karen Fairden. I'm sorry, I'm still getting over this like persistent kind of like cold or something. But we've had Karen Fairden on the show talking about the PA Climate Convergence coming up. It's going to be a good 2 days. On Sunday is going to be kind of lots of events, public events for everybody to kind of gather, talk about climate solutions. And then on Monday is going to be a lobbying day. We're pushing for climate actions in the PA legislature. And for more PA progressive talks, tune into the Rick Smith Show's live stream at 9 p.m. Eastern on his YouTube channel, Twitter, or Facebook. Subscribe to his podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Head on over to ricksmithshow.com for the latest across all his platforms. And you got to check out the Sisters of the Night Caucus podcast if you haven't already. The amazing PA women stirring the political cauldron behind this podcast rock the house, and they know where the bodies are buried. Make sure to follow them on Twitter at The Night Caucus. That's at The Night Caucus on Twitter. And subscribe to their podcast on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you haven't heard, The Signal is a new podcast for the Bucks County Beacon. Sorry. Twice a month, The Signal will shine a light on the right-wing extremist currents streaming through Bucks County and beyond. Serial invites guests who provide insight, analysis, and organizing solutions so we can steer the community toward calmer, saner, progressive roots. We also have the new podcast, episode 2 coming up of The Civic Circle. That is the Gen Z podcast. Gen Z hosted podcast. Gen Z oriented podcast. Right? Only at the Bucks County Beacon. Yep, you can get this on the Civic Circle and the Signal by heading over to the buckscountybeacon.podbean.com. Check out that, or wherever you get your podcast. Go ahead and subscribe. Attention all you gamers out there. The Game Inn is a Quakertown-based black family-owned gaming store. They're friends of the show. They've got everything from retro N64s, latest consoles, video games for all platforms, collectibles, action figures, Funko Pops, walls of Funko Pops. You got a question about a game, look for something hard to get, they've got you covered. Check them out on the Facebook page or follow them on Twitter at The Game Inn. That's with 2 N's. Shoot them a message or drop them an email at thegamenpa@gmail.com. Special shout out goes to Jonathan Mann, who wrote our intro song, There Are No People in the Future. Check out all his great stuff on his YouTube page and follow him on Twitter at Song of Dayman. That's with 2 N's, at Song of Dayman on Twitter. Sorry, I got some little weird stuff going on here. Anyways, we want a progressive future. We need progressive media. Support Pull No Punches, homegrown progressive media today. Become a patron for Ragey Chicken for as little as $5 a month. Simply go to patreon.com/rcpress for all the details. We're here for the fight, but we need you. Become a patron for the price of a good beer once a month. Help keep the media in the movement and the movement in the media. Become a patron for as little as $5 a month by heading over to patreon.com/rcpress today. Well, good morning, everybody. Yes, once again, more on the early morning start today, which is how I actually, prefer it, when I can make it happen. Got the tea going here because, like I said, got this persistent cold that doesn't quite want to fully go away. I was on here. And there's like weird little technology stuff going on. I mean, I don't know if other people have been having this issue this week, but there's just been weird stuff happening on social media. I don't know what to attribute it to other than the kind of normal chaos that's going on there. I'm personally getting more and more frustrated with Twitter. I'm getting more and more frustrated with a lot of social media platforms right now. Everything seems very, very scattered and frustrating. So, I've been spending more time on Discord in some of the spaces there. And, like I've said before, anybody's interested in joining our Discord, feel free. I'm going to post a new link right in our chat today. But know that, Discord link that we post in chat, that's good for 7 days. So if you are interested in joining the Discord, please feel free. But spending more time over there, just, because having conversations, exchanging links, as opposed to, trying to figure out what the hell is actually happening on any of the variety of social media platforms. Ironically, Facebook is probably the most useful for me right now, in part because that's where a lot of the school board organizing is happening, right? A lot of discussions that are happening around that's where it's going on. But Twitter and everything else like that is a mess. Then we had some other weird things. I don't know if other people encountered this this week, and now we found this out at the, for some reason, the most recent episode of The Signal, the Bucks County Beacon's The Signal, was getting blocked from being shared on Facebook for some reason. That was an interview with Steve Nolan, who wrote this book, The American Carnage, An Officer's Duty to Warn. That's a book that came out a couple years back when he was, talking about Donald Trump as having a particular kind of, psychological kind of, what do you call it? Psychological diagnosis. That's what I'm looking for. That's the word I'm looking for. A second diagnosis where he's actually, so-called narcissistic something disorder. I'm sorry, I'm spacing it right at this moment. But anyways, so that interview went up, and then for some reason it's getting blocked on Facebook. Says that you can't share it because somehow it's recognizing it as spam or a violation of the community codes, which is the weirdest thing in the world. He was talking about his book, and which has been pretty standard. Then even this morning, when I tried to just kind of log into, go to my Discord, I was personally blocked from accessing my own Discord site, and then eventually kind of went away. I think that was more of a glitch on Discord site, but I don't know. It's been that kind of week, right? It's been that kind of week. Anyways, I hope you all are doing well. I know that this is, oh yeah. Emily's just saying, yes, I heard Twitter wants a selfie and government ID linked in order to keep an account unless you have a premium Twitter account. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, Twitter, frankly, I'm at the point where I don't go on Twitter very much anymore. I find it absolutely frustrating. And, if they want me to pay, want me to give anything else, I'm just going to delete my account because I've had it. But this just goes back to some of the things that, we've been talking about ongoing for a while now. Is just that, we have to start thinking about new models of say progressive or independent media, because I think for too long, I think we've relied upon these platforms as a way of distributing our content, about reaching more people, engaging with communities, and building out kind of our discussions. But frankly, they're becoming more and more toxic and less useful. So, I think right now, Bucks County Beacon, of course, has got its fall fundraiser going on. If you're interested in helping fund the Bucks County Beacon, head on over to buckscountybeacon.com and click on that support the Beacon link right at the top. And you can become a subscriber there. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. Anyways, as I'm sure that if you're hearing the sound of my voice, you've probably already heard that Senator Dianne Feinstein has died at the age of 90, and which then basically means you have an open Senate seat, one fewer Democrats in the Senate. But frankly, I mean, just all being honest, her health has basically been a serious issue. I mean, it's no secret to anybody that her memory has been failing, that she's been hospitalized, and she's we've had colleagues say that sometimes she doesn't really recognize what's happening sometimes, and it goes in and out. Then she had this bout of shingles, which then was complicated by encephalitis, but then she returned to work anyways, and had no plans apparently to retire. And you put aside, you have the, I always find there's a bit of tragedy here with people like Dianne Feinstein or Mitch McConnell or Nancy Pelosi or Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden, or let's list all the baby boomers who are still occupying seats in our government, holding on to power, and keeping us, in a frame of reference that is, nearly, half a century old. And I'm not saying that, that old folks are kind of worthless. Like, I'm not saying that we should discriminate against or something like that. But it's a fact of the matter is that, this has been a problem in our politics for quite some time, is that you have, people who sort of made their careers coming out of the civil rights movement and coming, and even in the 90s, like the Bill Clintons and all this kind of stuff. Once they get elected, they don't want to give up on power. And, I've been thinking a lot about this lately. I don't know, but doing a lot of reassessment of my own assumptions and kind of about politics and about what people's investments are, and why people do what they do. And, I just can't help to think that a lot of these folks hold on to power for two reasons, right? One, it's because that's their job, right? They don't see it as an ideological commitment or a political commitment to a particular cause. It's there just to keep their job, right? And the benefits. And then once they've been established there for long enough, then it's about control, right? Then it's about ego and control and things like this. And that's a shame. Because not only, look, I mean, there's a problem when it comes to, people who had their politics defined in the 1990s or the 1960s, right? When that's kind of their formative moments in politics, right? Unless that they are keeping up with kind of significant changes, right? Then that affects what we can do in our politics today, right? This has been, one of our hobby horses on this show is kind of talking about how, the people that really came to power in the 1990s, people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all through that kind of that Clinton wave of stuff, right? They may have been fairly progressive at the time, right? But they were also came into politics in a moment when all Democrats were afraid of Republicans, right? Because they had experienced the Reagan Revolution, and they were afraid of being called liberals, and so they kind of all tacked to the center, and they thought that's what politics were. And real politics were just about moving to the center and kind of meeting the Republicans halfway. And they stopped doing politics, right? Organizing politics, building that next generation, right? Arguing for a particular kind of cause. No, instead they started playing like word games and like PR moves, right? But politics became a function of PR as opposed to organizing on the ground, right? And we've seen this everywhere. This is not just our federal government. I mean, certainly you see this in unions. You see this in kind of, most of these institutions, right? It's only now that, say, kind of younger generations are breaking through and demanding a different kind of politics, right? And look, I'm in my 50s, right? So I'm not like, I'm no spring chicken here, right? And so, I implicate myself in this too as well. And I think, one of the reasons that, there's always complicated reasons, but, one of the reasons that, this was hard to do, right? That I stepped back with the work that I was doing in my union, right? Is because there were just really awesome, younger folks, and not like young, but they're newer faculty members who were getting involved in the union, had a lot of energy, great ideas, and sometimes it's, you gotta, I think you have to be in a place where you say, look, why am I continuing to take up a spot? right Especially if I'm recognizing these a whole bunch of kind of really competent, smart, kind of engaged people that are coming up. Why am I going to be taking a spot and put myself in competition with those folks being able to kind of, gain that experience and define it going on, so, and shifting my roles, I think a lot about that. And I wish that we had a Democratic Party leadership, that thought in the same way, right? That thought more about, okay, who's going to be the next generation, and then who's going to be the next generation, right? I don't know. So, we'll see what happens now. Feinstein, I assume that they're going to have a special election or an appointment. I'm not exactly sure of what California's laws are. I was just thinking about it kind of at the moment. Right now, if we look at it right now, the set that brings basically I'm trying to look at here. Yeah, that basically brings. Oh no, ain't that interesting? So it looks like that's going to bring the Senate to a tie. Could that be true? Could this be true? Wait a minute. Let me just, yeah, I don't know. If I'm looking at this correctly, that basically means that, 49, there's 49 Republicans, 47 Democrats, and 3 independents who are currently caucusing with the Democrats. So by my count, then that puts it at even. I haven't even thought about that until just now. So we shall see. That's crazy. Anyways, I'm getting way distracted. So we shall see. And now this is even kind of more important because, right now, we are facing a government shutdown midnight on Saturday, tomorrow, because the Republicans who are in control of the House, they can't get out of their own way to actually put together some sort of budget that they can agree on. They can't even agree among themselves, right? Not they're passing a bill that Democrats won't agree with. Like, they can't even get a bill that they themselves can pass, right, with their own majority, right? Because of this House Freedom Caucus, the extremists they're kind of like want to hold everything hostage, right? They want to get rid of the inquiries into Trump. They want to kind of like, impeach Biden. They want to do all this stuff that has nothing to do with the actual budget, the actual functionings of the government. It just has to do with their ideological hit points. And that's what they're going for. Right? They're going for the ideological hit points. And as a result, hundreds of thousands or millions of people are going to have to pay the price. Right? So you have 300,000, 350,000 federal workers, which are going to stop getting paid. There will be some of those federal workers, including some folks that are working overseas and this kind of stuff, that will continue to be asked to work, right? Because they are considered essential, but they will not be getting paid. Military personnel will stop getting paid. right? WIC payments, for kids that, are hungry and need assistance, right? Or in poor families. They've got, like, when I was reading about this, at least in the Washington Post was saying you got about 2 days of kind of additional funds that they could stretch it out to make sure those payments get there. But after that, gone, right? SNAP, food stamps, right? SNAP benefits, right? They have a little bit of reserve that maybe they can go a few weeks before they have to start pulling money away from people who need food, right? National parks are going to get shut down. So not only everybody who's kind of made plans to go to national parks, who booked vacations to go to national parks, but all those towns around national parks are now going to be impacted by this decision to shut stuff down. It's, I mean, I don't even know what to do with this anymore. Seriously. I mean, and it's even more frustrating because it's like, it literally feels like this is out of our hands. I think about this. Some of the things I've been contending with this week is, thinking about what can be done, right? And there's certain things that it's too late, right? It's too late to fix the immediate problem, right? The only fix to the immediate problem is like a long-term solution. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you look at like a generation or more of say Democrats, progressives, folks on the left, basically ignoring the Supreme Court or assuming the Supreme Court was just a capital G good, right? That was going to do the right thing because that's what they did down in the 1960s, right? In the 1970s, right? That they're going to continue to do this. No, and then the right wing basically had an agenda. For 40 years, they basically targeted it. They built institutions, right? They put together pipelines to bring new kind of potential, new kind of law students, right, through the federal society and pipeline them to federal judgeships, as long as they kind of agree with their kind of right-wing conservative principles and particular theories of government. They targeted law schools to make sure that their version of the law, their version of their understanding of precedent, their versions of the understanding of what the appropriate role of government was something that would make its way into law school curricula, right? And then you have Mitch McConnell in the Senate, right? And most Republican leadership, right, since Newt Gingrich have basically been like fully targeted. Supreme Court. We want the courts. We're going to appoint as many as we possibly can, and we're going to stymie as many of Democratic appointments as possible. And then finally, under Donald Trump, he got 3 appointments, happened to all line up at the right time. I got 3 appointments, and now what happened? Roe v. Wade was overturned. And there's no immediate fix to that. Right? It's only like, wound care at this point. It's only trying to kind of find what we can do to kind of help and get around these restrictions and build toward changing that. But these are lifetime appointments, right? So we have to fight on the state level, right? We have to fight for legislation. But we also know, back in 2008, I'm sorry, into 2010, say 2010 really, because it was the 2009 elections, right? Republicans had a plan, right, to gerrymander all the states to make sure that they were going to be able to kind of take over governorships, take over the control of the state legislatures through gerrymandering their district, right? So they had a whole plan, red map, right? We've talked about it on the show. We've had people on the show to talk about it. Trying to sound the alarm. We got to pay attention to this, but, it was too little too late. 2010 census comes. Republicans have controls of state legislatures during the Obama administration, right? This is during the Obama administration. More Democratic state legislature seats were lost than any period of time in something that lasts like 40 years or something like that. $40 years, I And that's under the Obama, and that, again, that we've talked about it before. We can go through this again and again and again. Under the Obama administration, they had built an amazing organization up to the 2008 election, right? Unbelievable, incredible coalition, right? It felt like a bright moment in American history. All these people coming together. And then once Obama took office, right, the mantra was, we got this. He shut down the organization, peeled off certain people, and controlled who had access to the Obama administration. Instead of, look, this is where I give a ton of credit to Joe Biden, right? I mean, he brought folks in. He brought folks in from the Sunrise Movement, for example. He brought young folks in, right? And, part because he understood, like, what he needed, right? But, that could have been there in Obama, too, as well. We'd be in a very different place today. But instead, no, the experts will take care of it up at the top. We're not going to invest in organizing. Obama said, I'm going to put on a comfortable pair of shoes and I'm going to head out there in the picket lines with labor. Never showed up on a picket line in his life. Joe Biden becomes the first U.S. president ever to walk a picket line while in office. Right? But that's after, all the destruction. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I mean, it's like, when you've gerrymandered all these state districts, right? I mean, yes, you can say, okay, we have to go to the states and we have to fight for Roe v. Wade benefit. That's right. Absolutely, we have to. Right? But we're doing so after we have to go through all these court fights to kind of get fair maps again, just to get to the point where we have a shot at turning over and flipping state legislatures. I mean, if the Republicans had not gerrymandered all those districts, right, in 2010, I would just put, I mean, again, these, like, whatever, these are thought experiments, right? But I would guarantee you, if not before the overturning of Roe v. Wade, I would guarantee you that had that not happened with the gerrymandering, and then Roe v. Wade got overturned, there is no way in hell that any of those state legislatures or most of those state legislatures would remain Republican, because women were engaged and supporters of abortion rights were engaged more than we've seen in ages. Right? But it was not enough to deal with all the shenanigans that had happened before then. So there we have it. So now Republicans are shutting down the government, right? And you're sitting there, okay, I watch the news, I read the newspapers, and it's like a freaking, it's like a drama. It's like I'm just reading about like personalities and celebrities who are kind of fighting with each other, and we're all just subjects in their rule. Yes, we can call. Yes, we can lobby. Yes, we can do that stuff. But look, that craziness is baked in. Yes, 2024, we got another great shot, at least at the federal level. And that's why, like, what's happening now at the local level, right, with school boards and with all this kind of stuff is so critical. Emily says Bernie is rather an exception, though. Well, let me say, Emily, I have to say I disagree a little bit with that. So, Emily, look, I love Bernie Sanders, love what Bernie Sanders did and all that. But I would say is like, look, I would say the same thing about Bernie, right? I mean, I would say that Bernie is like, he's amazing at what he's been doing, right? And I would say, if anything, the culture has caught up with him. But, again, his politics reformed then too as well, not just in terms of, hey, Amy, what's up? His politics reformed then too, not just in terms of like his ideology, but I mean the practices, right? And just like, all these other folks, right? Is like, I mean, Bernie has done a lot to help support the squad and things like this, but who's going to take over from Bernie in Vermont? What's his organization look like? Does he have an organization that is mobilizing people and bringing up new candidates in here? I don't believe so. I mean, it's a personality. It's it's organizing around a personality. And again, I want to separate out something here. Is ideologically, yes, right? Ideologically, yes. But this is why I think like AOC is so critical. And yes, Bernie lent a great amount of his voice to supporting her. Absolutely. But AOC, right? Rashida Tlaib, the whole crew. Those are the folks that should be in front right now. And instead, they're still regulated to relatively marginal positions, right? And I think they all have a different understanding, a different understanding of politics too, as well. They understand organizing. They understand building a movement. They understand having a broad base. Ilhan Omar has just done amazing things. She should be at the forefront of what's happening in our kind of the Foreign Relations Committee. A leading voice in international politics. Absolutely. But, we're in this churn. We got to clear out the baby boomers before we can actually kind of move this through. And again, I don't say that, listen, I want to be really clear, right? Because I've had this back and forth with some people like on social media and things like this before. I'm not saying baby boomers suck. I am not saying that, right? I want to be absolutely clear about that. What I'm saying is that building an organization, a sustainable organization, right, over time, right, means that you have to make way for other people to take over the reins. It cannot be personality driven or this kind of entitlement driven. Right? Even the way that the Democratic Party, for example, does its leadership at the national level. Right? I'm talking about like the House leadership and things like this. It's like, did you pay your dues? Did you follow line? And it's based on just seniority. Well, seniority is something, but I don't know if that makes you the best qualified to be the leader of a party, especially in times of crisis. I mean, we are facing a climate crisis right now. And we have a leadership in both parties. Obviously, the Republican Party is just off the ledge on this one. But a crisis of leadership that is not acting like we're in a crisis. I mean, it's like astounding. And it's crazy making, right? I mean, we know there's this crisis. It's barreling down us like we're watching, like we're standing at the bottom of the hill and there's this giant boulder rolling down, right? And we're told like the best that we can hope for is to be Sisyphus or something like this. I mean, come on. And, I think that, again, this is where I mean, like, I'm not knocking baby boomers, right? Because, like, look, for example, there's a lot to be said about what one gains with experience, right? And what can one lend to that? What can one teach, right? And the importance of kind of like, accumulated experience in life and how that could be, that is absolutely critical. Being young by itself does nothing, right? Being young means that you're probably more willing to take risks or that you're more willing to, but it doesn't mean that you have the benefit of the same kind of experience and background, right? So for me, it's like all these kind of like the older leaders, right, who've been around forever, who've been controlling things forever, right? At some point, the role has got to shift. When you are now advisor, not controller, you are no longer the face, right? You are part of the body, right? That's what I'm talking about. But I mean, this is where I say just it becomes like this ego thing. Like just because they got to be up front. They think their voice is so important, these leaders. But imagine if you put in, even if you put in 20 years, that's a long time. And then after 20 years, you start to rotate out. You step down from leadership positions, right? You there as a consultant. They're there to help other people, right? Answer their questions, assist them in moving forward, right? And you have that process that keeps on going. So, anyways, way off track what I was going to talk about. So here we are with the government shutdown. And then it's like to add insult to injury, like student loan payments are going to start resuming on Sunday. Right? I mean, this is like, not only are you going to have an impact in just the economy from the government shutdown, now you're going to have an impact in the economy because the student loan repayment beginning here, because our current makeup of our government cannot do good things for people, like eliminate student debt. And because the courts are stacked, the courts keep on pushing back on kind of like, Biden administration's attempt to eliminate or forgive a bunch of student debt, cancel student debt. It's just a mess. Emily says, yeah, that's why people like Schumer frustrate me. He absolutely refuses to call out Menendez. And I get really frustrated that I keep getting texts to donate all the time. 100%, Emily. I give Fetterman a ton of credit right now, but basically stepping up and calling out for Menendez to step down. Right? Only after Fetterman did this did Cory Booker, right, the other senator from New Jersey, also called for Menendez. Menendez is known to be one of the most corrupt politicians in the Senate. Yes, he's a Democrat, right? He's been known long term. But because Democratic Party leadership has been so worried about its seat and doesn't want to kind of like, be uncomfortable with other members, they've refused to hold him accountable. And now look, now we're going to be heading into election year, and you've got a Democratic Party, Chuck Schumer in particular, who refuses to kind of like stop the corruption in his own party at a time when anti-corruption stuff is kind of a big deal. But Fetterman steps up and says Menendez should get out of here. And I love the fact that he said, like, look, I don't even want to hear stories. I want to hear about explanations about, how the gold bars got underneath his mattress, right? Doesn't matter. Does that mean he's like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to sit there in another media cycle of Menendez kind of like lying to the public. He's been brought up on these charges multiple times, right? He's been found. I mean, this guy's guy is corrupt. He needs to go. Whatever. Love to hear what's going on in your neck of the woods, everybody. Well, PA's been an interesting place of late. We still, I was glad to hear this week Governor Shapiro announced that automatic voter registration is going to be here for the Commonwealth. It is now going to be the new norm. That is great. Automatic voter registration. It's interesting because what's nice about that, right? I've been a judge of elections now for a couple cycles now, right? And one of the things during the primaries, one of the things that is the most frustrating, right? And I think for not just for me, but for everybody I work with, right? People have been doing this for a long time, is you get frustrated in kind of in a good way, I guess, right? Is that you have people that show up, right, and they want to participate, right, but they're not registered for a political party, right? So they got themselves to to register, but they don't they're not big fans of the Republicans. They're not big fans of the Democrats. And I have to say, what's been interesting, at least in my ward, like where I'm at, it's usually people that are more on the conservative end of things that are showing up because they want to vote in the primary, but they're not able to because they're not registered as a Republican, right? Because they're actually more to the right, right? But nonetheless, right? I mean, but that's not my job is not to deal with people's political preferences, right? It's just to kind of make sure that they get a chance to vote. But you have to say, like, no, you can't because of the primary stuff and all this kind of thing. what's nice about this, having the opportunity of automatic voter registration, right, is that there's more opportunities to have that discussion with people before the primaries ever happen. Right. So basically, every time if you're going to show up at a state office, you renew your driver's license or something like this, right? One, you're automatically going to get you're automatically be registered. You turn 18, you're automatically registered. But it's that doesn't give you a political party, but that's an opportunity, you know, again, to say, you know, here's a political party. What would be great? It gives us kind of more. It gives like people basically. It puts the emphasis more on organizing people around particular candidates or causes than it does around just getting registered to vote. One of the biggest, you know, we always have voter registration drives on my campus, for example. There's happens like in communities all over the country. And that's a lot of resources and time, right? If you take that away, right, say, look, people they're 18 in this country, right? They're a citizen in this country. They're 18 in this country. They should be registered to vote. So they're automatically going to be registered to vote. So no longer do you have to kind of like have those conversations about why somebody should get registered. They're already registered, and it's going to become increasingly just a normal thing, right? Everybody's registered to vote. Does that mean they have to vote? No, right? Then it becomes kind of like on, say, candidates and organizations and things like this, try to mobilize people to get out and kind of vote for their candidates, right? That's a kind of much better use of time and resources in my mind than trying to just convince people that they should actually register to vote and to do it correctly, right? The more you can take away the technical and like formal barriers to something like, you know, the franchise for voting in a democratic country, right? The more that you can focus on the actual work of civic engagement, right? I think people in general, like when they're faced with kind of burdensome bureaucracy or kind of forms and hurdles and things like this, I don't want to do that. I can't tell you how many times I've been there for voter registration drives. Like in voter registration drives, like at least all the ones that I've been part of, whether I've been part of them for my union, whether I've been part of the communities, what I've been part of is just, you know, other organizations. You're there as a nonpartisan, right? For the most part. I mean, sometimes you have Democrats who'll go like, you know, whatever. But the ones that I've been doing are mostly nonpartisan, right? And so you're saying, hey, do you want to register to vote? And I cannot tell you how many times there's people that come up to register to vote, right? Or you have that conversation with them and they get that look on their face, right? Well, they don't trust you, right? They don't trust you because they think that you got an agenda, right? They think that you're trying to convince them of something other than what you're doing. Like they're trying to figure out, are you Democrat or Republican? What are you trying to go do, right? And then, you know, if you're lucky, you get a chance to have a conversation with that person and let them know, right? But, you know, we should not be doing that kind of thing. And like that should not happen. Like in a country that calls itself democratic, right? Or republic, whatever you want to say, that should not be an issue, right? If part of legitimacy comes from voting, right? From the kind of the voice of the people, then we should make sure that's as easy as possible. And then our arguments can be over kind of like, who do you vote for and all that kind of stuff. Ross says door knocking on boomers' doors going well, definitely leaning towards Dems. That's great. Right. There's an amazing organization in the Penridge School District around kind of the school board candidates and getting people out to vote and kind of going and knocking doors. It's just really, it's impressive. What folks in this community have been able to do has been unbelievable in a relatively short period of time to kind of mobilize around this stuff. And just some amazing candidates too as well. Good. Yeah, Emily says, yes, there's also a push in PA to have open primaries. Yes. Matter of fact, Brennan, right? I think his last name is Brennan. He is the state representative to from this, well, it's a 29th district, I think, right? So I don't think it covers where I'm at. It's not where I'm at, but who's actually, you know, out in Doylestown, right? That he's, you know, going to be co-sponsoring and pushing for open primaries too as well. That'd be great, right? That'd be fantastic. Ross said, look, we need many more door knockers, right? Ross, you want to give me a link? You got an email or people who they could contact so I can just announce it now so I don't have to look it up while I'm talking. It'd be great. Ross is going to put contact information or tell you where to go in order to look at. It'll be in kind of today's chat. I'm going to task that off to you, Ross. It'd be great. So the other big news this week, right, happens just, everything just happened in my own backyard these days. So there was another Penn Ridge School Board meeting. Oh, before I get into this, let me just say, so if you're listening to the show, you know that I've been having a bunch of health issues for the past month or so, right? So, which has been it's been infuriating for me. But it's also put me behind on a couple things. But I want to let you know that I'm back on track on getting some of the school board stuff clipped up. I should have later on today some things put up from the August 28th school board meeting, and I know that's like a month ago, but I think it's to have it as a record. That's when they passed the new curriculum from Vermilion Education, right? Changing the social studies curriculum and the English curriculums in the Penn Ridge School District. That was on the first day of school. So they voted on a new curriculum on the first day of school that was going to be thrown at teachers, right? So I want to have that stuff up there, right? I've gotten most of this past weekend, or this past Monday, there was another meeting. I've broken out most of the discussion, most of the comments for that too as well. We'll start putting that back up on YouTube. I've got multiple emails from folks that are hoping that we kind of start that again. I've also think I've found a way to streamline the process so it's not going to take me quite as much time, so I can get those clips up sooner rather than later, which is good news. That was one of my struggles too, as well as the way that I was doing it before. It was very labor intensive, but I've got a little streamlined now, which should be helpful. So, and this is a perfect reason why this is why I want to be doing this, is because this past Monday, the Penn Ridge School Board, another meeting, and they passed a new policy, which is an anti-trans policy, right? So, it's so frustrating, right? It's like something that's right from the kind of, it's right out of this kind of, right-wing legal community, right? Independence Legal Center, whatever the hell they're calling themselves. And it's just a way of kind of stirring up more controversy, right? And it's basically saying that, kids can only play the sports that that correspond to their biological sex. And now they're going to have to pull in birth certificates and proof of their biological sex, and there more records are going to be kept now of biological sex of students, and more policies are going to be passed along this way. This was an opportunity for suddenly out of the woodwork. The Republican candidates for school board, right, coming up, suddenly, oh my God, they showed up at a meeting, right? So they showed up at a meeting just so that they could get behind their own little messaging bill, but saying, yes, it's anti-trans stuff, and way to go, board, and make sure you kind of keep those LGBTQ kids kind of under their thumb. Good job, Josh Hogan, right, as a kind of nutty and kind of off the wing extremist as he is, the least you can say about that guy is, well, he's been to board meetings before and he's said things, right? Right. The other ones, people are like, who the hell is this showing up? Well, I'm a candidate. Oh, are you really? We don't know. We don't know who you are. Right. So anyways, so they passed that policy, right, which is going to, and I guarantee this because there's already been legal cases, and on the background of this, there's going to be more lawsuits now that are basically going to do this. And, the fact that now we have our school board is going to be kind of in the business of getting into our kids' biological records, right, and keeping track of their biological records and having that stuff on file, right? It's so messed up. These people's preoccupation with the sexuality of children is really disturbing to me. Right? It's really weird. It's just weird. So another thing that came up at the meeting was that Darren Lawson, we've talked about this before on the show, Darren Lawson has filed, he's got kids in the Penn Ridge School District. He's been at the multiple board meetings, become an outspoken advocate for transparency, been a very kind of key voice, right, at the school board meetings, pushing back against the extremism on the school board. Well, he filed a lawsuit after finding out that the Penn Ridge School Board was basically doing the shadow banning of books, right? And even before they passed their book banning bill, right? So if you remember last year, what happened was, the short version of it was the school board, particularly the Moms for Liberty contingent, which dominates the school board. The Moms for Liberty dominated boards, the Red Wizards of Thay, as I like to call them. They were being clear that they want to start banning books. And so they had a policy that they wanted to do. Well, Darren Lawson wanted to see what books are actually kind of in the library. And so went to kind of, check out like all these books that are supposedly controversial, right? What happened? And found out that, all these books that are supposedly, controversial have been checked out, and they've been checked out for like a year, right? They've been checked out for a long time. Like, how'd that happen? They're not checked out by students. So who's checking all these books out? And then when he asked for the information, filed a right to know request, he said, well, I want to make sure that I've got these books. Right? I want to make sure that to find out which books are actually banned. Found out that, oh no, right to know request comes in. All the books were checked back in. So it appears that they were there. And then like the next day, basically, they're all checked back out. And nobody on the board is owning up to who did that. And so then they institute a book banning policy, right? And again, like if I want to be fair, right? If you're looking at if you're in saner times, right? You want to have a process which you can review books, right? And there already was a process. That's the thing that kills me. But okay, say you want to update your process where you're going to review books to make sure that you're having appropriate materials in there. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. As long as it's a transparent thing, right? And so even then, you had the books, right? There were some books that went through, right? That went through their new book banning policy. And the committee or the people that were looking at it said, yes, we're going to remove this book and this book, but from the libraries, there will be special access or whatever it's going to be. But this other book was okay. And Jordan Blomgren, because it was on the Moms for Liberty list of books that should be banned, Jordan Blomgren had a fit. And she sat there and she read for like 15 minutes. She read parts of the book that were the most salacious in her mind, right? To try to kind of like make a point that this should be banned. Even though the policy that she advocated for just went through and worked, and it was determined that no, this did not violate anything, she still wanted it banned because it's all she cared about. And then, because they have a regular kind of weeding process, right? Say, for example, you've got some books that are old, maybe they're kind of, the covers are worn, or maybe nobody has checked them out in 30 years, right? Then libraries normally go through a weeding process, right? To books that are no longer kind of really checked out, maybe they put them in storage or something like this, or take them off the kind of shelves for circulation. If they're damaged, they get rid of them, ideally to replace them if it's a sought after book. But instead, basically, they were trying to use this. Somebody who's the they is unclear. We're trying to use it evidence that, well, look, nobody's even reading these books, right? But they had the books checked out, so nobody could get them, right? Just a weird thing. Anyways, so all things were kind of happening. There were people that on the school board that were doing things. They were looking to kind of ban more books based upon an ideological agenda. So Darren Lawson sued, right? And that went to court on Tuesday, this past Tuesday. And so we're still, as far as I know, we're still waiting to hear what the judge says, and to see how that case is going to get concluded. But because this lawsuit went forward, there was a little bit of strife among board members once again, right? Ron Wirtz, right? Someone who ran with the extremists, right? Initially, on the parents, let me be clear. I'm not saying that he was an extremist. I'm saying that he ran on that slate with those extremists, right? On the Republican Party. He's now switched. He's now running as a Democrat because he can't believe what's happening in his party. But he raised the issue, right? He raised the issue that said, like, hey, you know what? We didn't know all this stuff was going on, right? And then we learned about it in the papers, right? So I would like to know who's banning these books. I would like to know who's taking the stuff away. And I would like to know what our legal costs are. Right? I mean, right now, hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent by the Pembridge School District because of its policies, and more are coming. You pass a policy that is basically, there's already settled law about kind of like trans kid in sports. But if you want to already pass something that is going to go against this settled law, there's going to be more lawsuits, which means more legal stuff. And you know what they're going to do, right? They're going to say, well, the reason why that we are spending so much money in these lawsuits is because these kind of like communists keep on suing us and we have to defend ourselves. We're the victims, right? That's what they're going to do. Like, they're never going to take any accountability for themselves as being the cause of all this. Right? Never. So they're just going to blame like Democrats or blame kind of like extremists or blame the kind of hidden communists like in our basements for causing all this problem, right? So they're never going to do this, right? But just so you know, this is kind of like according to Jenny Stevens' reporting in the Bucks County Beacon, right? So if we look at right now, so far, a review of the financial documents that have been included with meeting agendas show that Eckert Siemens, right, that's the lawyer for the district, has billed the district approximately $528,949.94. Wirtz basically said, like in the meeting, that, hey, this figure is actually closer to $1 million, but we don't have any information about it. The article goes on to say the actual amount of the district has spent for legal counsel remains a mystery because no information reflecting invoices from Eckert Siemens was provided with the September agenda. A curious development with the November 7th municipal elections right around the corner, right? Absolutely. So we know that tons of district money, tons of, supposedly these folks care about fiscal discipline, they care about taxpayer money and all this kind of stuff. And what are they doing? They're spending the money on to defend their ideological agenda. Money that should be going to our kids. It's just messed up. So that's what we got going on as we're going on Pembridge. So we'll start putting that stuff up and we'll keep on the organizing. And as Ross said, people are looking for more door knockers, right? You're looking for, more door knockers to the Pembridge School Board members who are running for office. Make sure that you're going to, check it out. Get out there. Help out. Do what you can. Do what you can. Last thing I want to talk about today. Big day in Harrisburg days, I should say. Beginning actually tomorrow. Tomorrow, the PA Climate Convergence is in Harrisburg, October 1st and 2nd. That is Sunday and Monday. However, on September 30th, right, that is Saturday night, there is a special kind of event with Bill McKibben. This could be they're calling it a wildfireside chat with Bill McKibben. It's a hybrid event, which you can join in person at the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg. That's at 1280. I'll put links on this in today's show notes. Actually, let me just go ahead and put the PA Climate Convergence link right in today's chat. Right. You get information on all of the upcoming events. On October 1st is they call it the Festival of the Planet, right? Which is basically an all-day event. This will be in the Soldiers Grove on Commonwealth Avenue. That is going to be from 10 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. I will be there for the day. We'll be there as with Raging Chicken, going to be kind of conducting some interviews, kind of talking to lots of folks, and to, kind of join in the festivities, The other thing that's going to happen on the main stage in Soldiers Grove at 6 p.m. on Sunday, what was supposed to happen was that Jocelyn Diffenbaugh, if you remember her, she's the from the Teen Banned Books organization in Kutztown. When they pushed back against the banning of teen books, they started their own book reading thing. She was out in, I should say, she and Alan Gratz, right, Alan Gratz's book, which we interviewed Alan Gratz on this show. His book 2 Degrees was kind of banned from the Kutztown school district, right, because it talked about climate change. Jocelyn Diffenbaugh has been just a incredible organizer of students in the middle school and high schools with this book banning thing. Thanks to the folks at Firefly Bookstore for hosting that, providing them a space and books for this. But anyways, what was supposed to happen on Sunday was that Jocelyn Diffenbaugh was going to interview Alan Gratz. Alan Gratz was going to be a keynote speaker at the Climate Convergence. We're talking about his book, to talk about book banning and so on. Unfortunately, Alan Gratz got sick, got COVID, so he will not be there. So instead, yours truly, this guy right here, I will be interviewing Jocelyn Diffenbaugh at 6 p.m. at the main stage in Soldiers Grove. We'll be talking about kind of the banning of books, and we're talking about like the climate, right? We talk a little bit about what happened with the 2 degrees probably, but we're also going to talk about, you know, how she and other folks and other kind of students and other organizers are really thinking about what we should be doing around climate, what their thoughts are on climate, right? And the importance of, you know, be talking about these issues actively in our schools and our community. So I'm very excited about this. Be talking to Jocelyn Diffenbaugh. Again, if all works out, we're also going to record that. And if it works out, I got to check in with some of the organizers of the convergence. If it works out, then we can take that recording and bring it to us on from Monday for Out to Coop Live. So as you know, I purposely do not have a show planned, like an interview with somebody planned for Monday. Initially, my plan was to take some of the audio, some of the things that we had, some of the interviews that I did throughout the day on Sunday, and put together a little bit of a montage and play some of that for you for our Monday night Out to Coop Live. Still might do that, give you some of those voices there too as well. But if it works out, and if the interview works out well and the recordings come out good, I'd love to bring you that interview with Jocelyn Diffenbaugh from the PA Climate Convergence on Monday. There's also a very cool thing that's happening on 8 p.m. on Sunday, October 1st. This is at the Grace Methodist Church. That's 216 State Street. It's a climate change theater action. It's an evening of theatrical and musical performances. It should be awesome. This is going to be put on by the Better Path Coalition. I'll read you a little bit about this. It says, they're excited to announce an evening of climate theater and music to be presented on Sunday, October 1st in Harrisburg as the culminating event of day one of this year's PA Climate Convergence. The program of 6 short plays will be presented in conjunction with a climate change theater action, a global festival that promotes the worldwide performance of theater pieces about the climate crisis and is designed to bring communities together to take action on climate. This year's event will coincide with COP28 conference scheduled to take place in Dubai, right? So that should be absolutely fantastic. Now on Monday, I don't know why I keep on doing this. On Monday, from 10:30 a.m. at the Fountain hearing, that'll be be a meeting there. There'll be a press conference there at 10:30 at the Fountain hearing, and from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the East Wing, there's going to be a people's hearing on climate change. It's going to be in-person, recorded, and read testimony submitted by people across Pennsylvania. It's a people's hearing on climate change, the East Wing of the Capitol building in Harrisburg. That is Monday, October 2nd from 10:30 until 3. And there'll be links. Again, I put that link in today's chat. I'll put that in the show notes too as well. And you can, there's information there about how to testify there, how to have your voices heard, and how to show up and where to show up in the Capitol for the PA Climate Convergence. So I'm thankful to all the folks that have put in all the energy of organizing this year's PA Climate Convergence. I'm so happy that I can be there to be part of it. Looking forward to talking with Jocelyn Diffenbaugh on Sunday evening, and hopefully we can bring some of that experience to you if you're not able to come out there. If you are out in Harrisburg on Sunday, right, please stop by and see me. I'll have my Raging Chicken banner out there. We'll have a table. We're going to have some mics set up so that if you want to come, you want to give us little thoughts on why you're there. kind of what your experiences are around climate, what your concerns are, or what's happening in your neck of the woods, that'd be awesome. Right. So that's an upbeat way to end today's show. How's that? All right, everybody. So this is Kevin Mahoney, creator and founder of Raging Chicken. I want to thank you all for all the support that you've given us over the years. I want to thank to all our members. I want to thank all our supporters. And want to remind you that you want to help support this show. You can head on over to patreon.com/rcpress, where you can become a patron for as little as $5 a month. Get out there and knock some doors this weekend if you can. Help out everybody in your community to make sure you get those school boards flipped back over so that we can bring some sanity back to our school boards, whether you're in Penridge, whether you're in Quakertown, whether you're in Palisades, whether you're in Souderton, whether you're in Central Bucks, no matter where you're at, right? Make sure you get out there and make sure you can do what you can. And make sure that you're registered to vote, and make sure that you vote in this year's election and get rid of the extremists that are on our school boards. All right, everybody, this is Kevin Mahoney, creator and founder of Raging Chicken. Thanks so much. Remember, head on over to patreon.com/rcpress. Become a patron for as little as $5 a month. We'll have more coming for you. Hope to see you out in Harrisburg on Sunday. If not, check back with me on Monday night for Out to Coop Live at 7 p.m. See ya!
I guess I'll fly away now.